afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another live naturalist chat here at the Alabama Nature Center. We are in the back of the Natureplex at the fire pit here, and so we're going to talk to you today about some fall happenings. So, fall is sort of happening right now. We have some leaves coming down, and we're going to be talking probably a lot about some fall things in the next few weeks because there's a lot of cool happenings in fall. So we've kind of touched on some fun things. We've touched on that fawning season is upon us. So we have lots of baby little fawns running around the nature center. We've talked about goldenrod is blooming, and there's lots of fall blooming flowers. And there's bird migration happening, fall bird migration. So fall is an exciting time, and there's a lot of natural events occurring. And what we're going to talk about today is butterfly migration. So something that you don't often think about when it comes to fall, something that's happening right now. And so we're going to hear about all kinds of butterflies, and then we're going to focus in on monarch. So Miss Tammy, you want to talk to us about butterflies?
Absolutely. So, we usually think of butterflies in the springtime when the flowers are coming out and we start to see butterflies again. But really, a hopping butterfly adventure is to butterfly watch in the fall. We're going to talk about a few things. Butterflies overwinter in several different ways. And today, we're going to talk a little bit about migrating butterflies. Come with me for a minute. We're going to go look at a butterfly life cycle to start things off. Butterflies have a life cycle of complete metamorphosis, just like several other insects, which means that during their life cycle, the adult lays her eggs on a host plant. The egg hatches out into a larva, where its job is to eat and grow and eat and grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then finally, when it reaches an appropriate size with enough nutrition, it will make a chrysalid. It will cocoon itself in silk, where it rearranges all its body parts and will emerge a little time later, a few days, maybe even a couple weeks, as the adult butterfly again. Now, the butterfly example we're looking at here is the monarch butterfly. And monarch butterflies will do this all spring, summer, and fall. Different species complete their life cycles in different time periods, and each different species also has a different plant. I'm sure you know that they like to drink from or eat to get their nectar, as well as a different host plant where they need to lay their eggs for their larvae to grow up and eat and grow for their part of the life cycle. When we talk about butterflies in the fall, we're kind of talking about butterflies at the end of the season. Now, some butterflies, like our native tiger swallowtail butterfly, will overwinter in its pupa state. So they will stay all winter long in their chrysalid on the trees, and one of their host plants is the sweet bay magnolia. Some of you may have those in your yard, but you will find them in abundance all over Alabama. Some other butterflies that won't overwinter in a pupa will actually migrate, and I'm just going to show you a few of those. You may have seen them lately. This clouded skipper will migrate. This cloudless sulfur, those big yellow butterflies you've been seeing around, will migrate. This Gulf fritillary, a butterfly that looks a lot like your monarch butterfly, will migrate. And common buckeyes will migrate also. The last one I have, of course, is the monarch, the great migrator butterfly. Several species will migrate, and what causes butterflies to migrate often is a response to, yes, temperature, because butterflies are technically cold-blooded, and as it gets cooler, they want to go to warmer places, but also food. And remember, the parent butterfly has to have the nectar to drink as well as the host plant to lay their eggs for their caterpillars. So we were talking about butterflies this week, and we were talking with some children that we know about butterflies this week, and we were trying to figure out how do we demonstrate to children how butterflies actually migrate. We know that birds migrate. They go from one place to the south in the winter. Our neotropical migrants will go south where they will follow their food source. And in the spring, when the deciduous forest where we live has an explosion of insects, they will come back and nest and raise their young, and then they will complete the cycle and go back south again for the next winter. Butterflies, though, they don't live as long as birds. They have different life cycles that are shorter. And so let's talk about that a little bit. We're going to walk over to our little game. These butterflies are completing their life cycle the whole time they are migrating. And the second thing that helps them or causes them to migrate is that they lose their food sources. So here's our game. This is just kind of a demonstration. Each butterfly needs to drink from a particular flower. So every butterfly in our game has a different color flower to look for. Each butterfly needs a different leaf shape for their host plant for their larvae to eat. So every butterfly in our game has a different leaf shape. So we all can become butterflies. We go through their life cycle. We are eggs, and then we hatch out to little caterpillars where we can crawl. And then we go through metamorphosis, and we make our little chrysalids, and then we emerge as adult butterflies. And the last emergence of adult butterflies towards the end of the season will eat up all their food, and then there's no more food left. And then they will lay their eggs on all the host plants, and then all of a sudden our host plants start to die off. So they start to fly a little bit south, and they look for more food. They'll find their food, and they'll eat it all up, and they'll lay eggs on the available host plants. And as they start to brown out or die out for the season, they will migrate a little bit further south, where they will continue. And migration continues south throughout the season until they are as far as they can go where there is food and host plants for the winter. They'll stay there all winter long, and then in the spring, when the big bloom happens, they will start to migrate north again to find more food and host plants to lay their eggs. So, I'm being a generalist today, telling you about some butterfly species. We're going to talk to Miss Kristen now about the monarch butterflies.
All right, everyone. So let's walk over here, and I'm going to talk to you about the monarch butterfly. So as Miss Tammy said, it is our great migrator. And this is a beautiful poster that shows you their migration route in a very simplified way. And I've got some other pictures to show you. But they are pretty fascinating. They're actually one of the most studied butterflies in the world. So butterflies, just like what Miss Tammy talked about, they typically have a nectar host plant and they have a larva host plant. So sometimes that's the same plant, sometimes it's different. So for the monarch butterfly, the only larval host plant they have is the milkweed. Now there's many different types of milkweed, and here's just a few that are native. There's butterfly weed, swamp milkweed, common milkweed, many others. So these are all native to North America. To help out monarchs, it's best if you find the type of milkweed that naturally grows in your area. So butterflies or monarch butterflies will lay their eggs on these plants, and monarch butterfly caterpillars will eat the leaves of these plants. Now what's interesting is that milkweed is actually a poisonous plant, and so monarch butterflies are especially adapted to be able to eat it and handle its toxins. And what's really cool is that monarchs will actually store those toxins in their body. So when they become an adult butterfly, they're actually a poisonous butterfly. And so their bright orange coloration warns predators that they're poisonous. I do want to show you another type of milkweed. Because you see a lot of milkweed species sold in typical stores and nurseries. And so this is a common variety of milkweed that people purchase. This is tropical milkweed. And the problem with tropical milkweed, as Miss Tammy illustrated, is that a lot of the pressure to migrate comes when their food source is gone. But the problem with tropical milkweed is that even though it will grow in this area, it doesn't typically lose its leaves or stop blooming at the right season. And so what'll happen is if you have tropical milkweed in your yard, the butterflies might flock to it, the monarchs, but then because it stays green and continues blooming, the monarchs won't know that it's time to migrate, and they'll stay. And that's a problem when we have winter here, because they're not able to cluster with others, and they're not able to withstand our cold winters, and they'll die. So it's important to plant the right type of milkweed and one that's native to your area. So let's talk about their amazing migration. So here's another map. And just like what Miss Tammy said, the monarch goes through its different life cycles, and we can start in the summer. So in the summer, this is the typical range of the monarch butterfly here in North America. They like to live wherever there is milkweed that they can lay their eggs on. They will drink nectar from a variety of plants, and including goldenrod that's blooming right now is one of the things they really like. Now, if they are born and they go through their metamorphosis in the late summer or early fall, they actually do not breed, but they instead start their migration going south to central Mexico. Now, these butterflies are amazing. This journey, especially if they're starting from way up here to way down here, is almost 3,000 miles. And some have been recorded going several hundred miles in one day to reach their destination. So one individual can go from here all the way down to central Mexico, and there they will gather on these very special trees in a very special place that is now protected. And these are oyamel trees. It's a type of fir tree that they cluster on. And I've got another picture to show you just how many. And they cluster together to conserve their energy and warmth, and they go dormant, and they all stay on these trees clustered together. And they will stay that way all winter long. And then when temperatures rise and get to about 50 degrees and the sun hits their wings, they will slowly start to warm up and wake up and shake off their wings. And it's amazing because millions of butterflies will be flying off these trees all at the same time, and it's beautiful. So once spring has happened, they will start their journey back north. And when they do that, they are looking for food along the way, and they are breeding as they go. And so as they come up, they might lay their eggs, and typically in these butterflies that are born in the fall and winter, or late summer, fall, early winter, those butterflies have been living for a long time. So the typical lifespan of butterflies is only just a few months, with the winter generation being the longest lived. So they won't make it that far back before they lay eggs and then die. But the next generation will keep moving. And so you can see that spring is kept down here in the southeast, and then the next generation hops up, and then the next generation hops up, keep going north, following their food sources. And then the cycle starts over again. And so I've got a little chart that kind of shows you this happening. This is the pattern of the butterfly, with the fourth generation of the winter breeding, the winter migrants, the fourth generation after that being the one that makes the journey back. So that's crazy, because it means that every time monarchs go to central Mexico in the fall, they've never been before. It was their great-great-grandparents before them that went. And scientists are still trying to figure out how exactly they know where to go, because they go back to the same place every year. And scientists are thinking that they probably have some sort of magnetic compass, and they also use the sun to help them navigate. But just like Miss Tammy said, they're also following their food source to come back, but on the way down, they typically are going straight down, unlike other butterflies. So that's what makes the monarch so unique. So, as I said before, monarchs are a poisonous butterfly, and so I've got a couple of mimics to show you. I've got a picture, and I've also got the real one. This is a viceroy, and it looks just like a monarch, except it's not poisonous. It just wants to look like one. And you can tell that it's not a monarch because it has this line on the very bottom of its bottom wings. That's what makes it different. It's one small thing. It's also a smaller butterfly than a monarch as well. We also have the painted lady, smaller butterfly, still orange and black. We have a queen butterfly. And we also have, Miss Tammy talked about it earlier, the Gulf fritillary. And I have a real one of these for you as well. On the outer parts of their wings, they look much different, but on the inner parts, especially if they're flying over you, it's hard to tell the difference.
I just wanted to share, Miss Kristen, you are showing us butterflies in hand, and it's really easy to see the field marks while we're looking at them. And it used to be that you used to have to catch butterflies in a net every time you wanted to identify it. I don't know if you've tried to watch butterflies, but they have a flighty flight pattern. That as the sun gets warmer during the day, the butterfly gets more energy during the day, and they get really fast and fly away, and it's not often that they will light on things and sit long enough for you to identify them. So some people started watching butterflies with binoculars, which is a neat thing to do, so you can watch them further away, and you can actually identify their field marks from a distance without scaring them away. And there are these great field guides. There's several books that you can use, but now they have butterflies with binocular field guides and other insect guides that you can help identify your butterflies.
Very nice. Thank you, Miss Tammy. So this is a monarch butterfly. So as you can see, it's larger than what I had. All of those other butterflies were much smaller than this. So it's a larger butterfly. And what I'm going to show you is this butterfly has a tag on it. Now, there are many different citizen science groups out there, conservation-minded citizen science groups for all sorts of things, with monarchs being one of them. And so they started tagging monarchs. So these are the tags that are used nowadays. They're just little stickers that are put on a butterfly. And what this means is that if we were to tag a monarch today during the migration time, then someone in Florida or somewhere could catch it tomorrow and identify its tag and report it, and we could see how far it traveled in a day. And then that butterfly could continue on and head down to Mexico, where this organization called Monarch Watch can send biologists down in the winter or in the early spring and recover tagged monarchs and be able to document where they were tagged, how long it took them to get somewhere, or if they were able to survive the winter. And so this tells us a lot of things, because the monarch is currently being petitioned to be put on the endangered species list. So the more information we have about their abundance and what's going on with them, then the more evidence we have towards protecting them. And this is what the little tags look like. Now, anyone can order these tags. So this is from Monarch Watch, and you can purchase these tags, and they will teach you all the things that you need to know about tagging monarchs. And this is something that we do here at the Alabama Nature Center to be able to help out with this project, and we like to tell other people that they can help out too, because the more people who tag monarchs, the better data we can have and the better we can understand their abundance and what's going on with monarch butterflies. Now, you know that butterflies are in decline, or monarch butterflies are in decline, because that's on the news and people talk about it and things like that. And right now, there's a lot of different things that they're looking at. But one of those things is milkweed. So milkweed used to grow all alongside roadside ditches and in agricultural fields or just around in weedy places. That's where it likes to grow. And now we do things like we mow ditches and we mow roadsides, or we spray it with herbicide, and we keep those areas nice and tidy for all sorts of reasons. But the biggest problem is we've started to eliminate milkweed. And so milkweed is not as abundant as it used to be. And the only way for us to bring it back is to be conscious of that and to start planting it ourselves. And so that's why we showed you the native milkweed, because planting milkweed that's right for your area is a huge step in helping monarchs. So I'm going to show you our little tagging sheet. This is some of the data we collect. This is from Monarch Watch. You can go to Monarch Watch, monarchwatch.org, and learn more information. You can also go to a website called Journey North, where it has all different kinds of migrating animals and different maps that are interactive. And they have an interactive monarch map that shows monarchs and their movements even this year. So you can see where in the migration they're at right now. This is peak time for this part in Alabama. It is peak migration time right now. But we haven't started to see them in central Alabama, but there have been sightings up in Birmingham. So we're still waiting, and I want to show you one more thing, and that is if you start tagging monarchs, you're going to be asked if you see males or females. And so you can actually tell males and female monarchs apart from each other. This is a female, this is a male. Males have these little pouches on their lower wings, and the black lines are thinner, versus in a female, they don't have those pouches and those black lines are thicker. And so you can look at pictures and you can be able to tell the difference. And now you are ready to start tagging monarchs. All you need is your little tags, your data sheet, and a nice insect net. And what we've discovered here at the Nature Center is it's best for nice overcast days like this in open areas with monarchs typically flying from north to south, and to wait until they land on something, grab the end of your net, and then swoop down on top of them. And it's best to come from right behind them because they have pretty good eyesight and they're pretty fast. So you've got to learn to sneak up on them. So we hope that you learned some things about monarchs that you didn't know before. Maybe to inspire you for next spring to plant some native milkweed. Of course, right now, butterflies are stopping along the way on their migration route, so keep that goldenrod blooming because they're going to stop on that, and that's going to give them some energy to continue their journey to Mexico. And if you see one, wave hi to it, wish it good luck, and then go check and see if you can report that sighting on Journey North, or look at the interactive maps and see where these monarchs are in the world right now. We'll see you next Friday. Have a great afternoon.